Delighted to say joining me today is commentator Sam Armstrong, still with us for the whole show. Morning once again to you.
Good morning.
And we're asking you to get in touch. As always, you get to decide what you want to call about, anything and everything we are talking about, but also in particular what the Home Secretary is announcing today. It just shows, you know, I want people to have slightly better English and maybe have a few more quid in their pocket before they're allowed to come here as a family member of someone who's come here illegally and been granted asylum. As if that is really the issue. We're talking about, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. This is, fiddling while Rome burns. They really, really don't get it. And as such as they do get it, they think the people who are angry about all these issues, whether it's the hotels, whether it's the hostels, whether it's the houses brought up, whether it's the cost, whether it's the cultural impact, whether it's all of that, they just think we're all horrible bigots. It's as simple as that. And if Nigel Farage could just shut up and go away and stop putting his camera and the media stop talking about these people arriving on the beaches of Dover, then it would all go away and no one would care. So it's all our fault, really. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of that. Give us a call. 0344 499 1000. Text the word talk in your message to 87222. Get in touch with us on X at Talk TV. Calls are charged at the national rate. Text cost £1, standard network rate message. Sam Armstrong, this is the fundamental issue to me. And you've talked so many, it's literally the regular on a Monday. Bring your shredder in, because we're just going to shred the latest insanely inadequate and useless, meaningless policy announcement from the government, usually from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, who's been a busy old lass over the summer, has to be said. But the main issue with this government, even worse than the lot you lot represent, the Tories, they don't get it. They're not going to solve the problem that we are facing with illegal migration, or indeed overstaying visas and things as well, because they don't actually, in their hearts, think it's a problem.
They don't see what we see, which is a country that increasingly feels, everywhere you look, broken.
Why don't they see it?
I think it's in part ideology. I think it's in part the fact that they thought when they were in charge things would be different. I think it's in part that they live cushy, comfortable, relaxed lives. I think it's in part that the fact that diversity seems a little bit different when you're in Islington.
Well, there's a lovely delicatessen at the end of the road. Honestly, that's what they think.
Ottolenghi is their idea of what multiculturalism means. Well, let me tell you, it feels...
Very complicated recipes.
It feels a little bit different when you're in a working class community that has had the raw end of just about every deal going in this country for a very long time. And on top of all of that, what you see is your high street emptied out. And what comes in? Turkish barbers that'll only take cash. Why is that? What you see is people getting moved into the house next door, a house that you have to work hard to pay for, and they're doing just fine. What you see is people swinging the lead. One of the 1.2 billion quid a year that we spend on benefits for foreigners. When you see this again and again and again, you begin to see what we all see, which is that this country isn't fair. It is not fair
and that's
for
the thing.
The people
but crucially, when you see it and then you're told, no, you're wrong, you don't see it, it's not true. That's what we've been told for 20 years. And if you're claiming you do see it, you're a bigot. And now everyone's going, look, here are the stats. Here are the stats on the number of people. Here's the stats on what they cost. Here's the stats on where they are. Here are the stats on criminality and alleged criminality of these people. Here are the stats on their chances of ever being removed. Here are the stats. And then we're still being told we're wrong for thinking what we're thinking based on the facts.
I do kind of feel sorry for kids. I can't believe I'm saying this. I kind of feel sorry for Keir Starmer because...
What?
But this hot potato of ignoring the public has been tossed around the political classes, handed around from one to the other for 30 years. We've had 30 years there or thereabouts of mass migration, and this is just the latest generation to come in. And Keir Starmer has arrived, and all of a sudden it is coming at a moment in which there is a massive totemic public awakening that is going to change everything, and he is going to be turfed out of office in one way or another at the end of this.
Well, they're playing Pass the Parcel and the music stopped, and unfortunately for him, he was the one holding the parcel.
As a result, he will go down in history as one of the worst full-stop prime ministers that this country has ever had.
I have a feeling that would have happened anyway. I think he's so woefully inadequate. He's such an also-ran sort of... Nothing wrong with getting a C grader, but don't big yourself up as an A-pluser if you're a C grader like he is. He's a plodding... he's a plodding overachiever in terms of, like, he's managed to get himself promoted again and again, but he's trying to be all things to all men. He's actually not. He's not a quick thinker. He's not a doer. He's never done anything of it. You know, he's just massively over promoted, and he's just being exposed to someone who simply can't hack it. He can't think on his feet. But as you say, this has been going on for a very, very, very long time. Now, I've been writing about this and talking about this for a very long time. I remember I was political editor on the Sunday Express, you know, like 2000 was. I remember writing columns on multiculturalism, on the rise of the Muslim population in this country. There were lots of issues of, like, burqa and things like that at the time. I've been talking about the issue of mass uncontrolled immigration and illegal immigration for many, many years. I've been called every name under the sun. I mean, literally washes over me. I don't care. I know I'm on the right side of history. I also know what's in my heart. I know I'm not a bigot. I wasn't raised as a racist or a bigot, and it's just like, you're not going to make me question my morals and my conscience. I know what they are. But I always felt it was something that I should speak out on, because you need some people who are a little bit braver on this. There are quite a lot of Johnny-come-latelys to this. I'm great. People are finally coming around to this. But these things have been brewing for a long time, and I still think, and I've mentioned this on the show before, one of the reasons I got to this quite early, for someone from the, North London, establishment, class in that sense, is because I worked in a local paper in the East End of London.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that's what it is. You're in Bethnal Green and you go to a local school, and 3 years ago it was just a local normal school in London, and then now 90% of the kids are from Bangladesh, and they only speak Bengali when they arrive, and their mums don't speak any English at all, and the whole local area has changed, and there is no mixing between the white working class, the white middle class, the yuppies who've moved in, and the Bangladeshi. That's particularly Bangladeshi. Other areas in London are different heritage communities. But I remember looking at this and going, well, this doesn't work. And everyone calling those white working class Londoners who moved out racist. No, they just want to be able to have a conversation with another school mum at the school gates. That's all they're looking for. They just want to live where they grew up and where in the country they live in. And pointing that out makes you a racist.
But Julia, I think actually something has gone on more than this. I spent a bit of the summer getting out of London. I can recommend it to anyone who lives here. But what I saw wherever I went is that there are parts of this country, all over the country, that are being turned into Bethnal Green. The political classes are attempting to Bethnal Greenize this entire country. And wherever it happens, people do the same thing. And by the way, just about white working classes moving out of the East End of London, if you don't think that people in Surrey, if you don't think that people in Hampshire have done exactly the same thing, then you are mad. They've just come up with a better way of explaining it than working class people that aren't necessarily always as articulate at
I would say one of the things we are really seeing, actually, looking what's happening in Epic, in Essex and in Nuneaton and Yorkshire, actually they're being very articulate and very good at explaining it.
Operation Raise the Colours has changed something in this country. It has been, and I sit on, as a political consultant, I find you get a lot of wisdom by sitting on little town Facebook groups, and every one of those groups all over this country, they're talking about it in a way that people never did before.
It's changed. There is a definite sea change.
A huge national
and again,
awakening.
you do just get into that issue, and Elon Musk has been tweeting, and he is stirring things up. And again, I don't really think he does understand where this country is, because he thinks Tommy Robinson is the solution. Tommy Robinson is not the solution. But although he has been right about a lot, and I've always said that he has a go at me every now and on social media, he has been right about a number of things over the years, and people ignored him. I've always said that. However, this is the thing. If you've got a country and a political class, and let's face it, a media class as well, that is a bit embarrassed by our flag. Or they don't mind it if it's if it's a black athlete winning gold at the Olympics, get the flag out. That's absolutely fine. And isn't it wonderful to cherish our diversity? That's where they like the flag. They can live with the Union Jack, just about, right? Certainly no problem with the Welsh flag or the Scottish flag. Oh no, that's just proud people. The English flag, no, that's just a racist, bigoted flag. Well, I'm never letting anyone take over my flag. I was born in England. I'm English. That's my flag. I fly that flag during every football tournament. But people who, if you look at, we've got some footage up now. You look at someone flying that flag, and if your first reaction is, I bet they're dodgy and right, nasty far right, probably racist, probably this, probably that. If that is your reaction when you see someone flying your flag, You are the problem, not the flag flyer. Because you should, if you are ashamed of your national flag and you associate it with such negativity, you're the one with the problem.
But I almost feel like we need to remind our audience that there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong whatsoever. In fact, it should be celebrated. If you're the kind of person that is proud to be English, if you're the kind of person that is proud of our heritage, our culture, our traditions, what we gave the world,
Absolutely.
what we provide, what we continue to provide, the fact that when everybody else in Europe fell over for this continent's greatest dictator, that we stood firm, that we held fast, that we delivered when no one else will. If you like our customs, our values, that everything else that means to be English, good on you. Keep going, and don't vote for politicians anymore that are ashamed, that are sniffing, that are turning their nose up at you, at me, that everybody cares about the country that we live in.
That's it. It's really that simple. But again, these people, the same reason why they sneered at everyone who voted for Brexit, 52% of us, by the way, but they still won that one. They're still fighting that war. No, we've done that war, guys. We did it years back. But the key thing is they are not proud of their country and they don't believe in borders. And they really don't understand any of these values. They genuinely believe that the world's a better place if it was one big melting pot. They think all cultures are equal, or religions are equally morally valid, that we're all the same. I mean, they're living in cloud cuckoo land. There are very, very, very simple facts you can show about whether cultures are superior or not. Here's the giveaway. We don't have a load of people from Britain desperately trying to get to Syria or Afghanistan or Iran or Eritrea or any of these other countries or Saudi Arabia. Why don't we do that? They might be going to Dubai, but only because they're going to the westernised bit, the bit of Dubai pretending to be all Western. That's the bit they're going to. I mean, there's a reason why people aren't moving from the West to these countries is because they don't have superior values. Our culture, our civilization, our values, our rule of law is the superior culture.
Yes.
And if you don't believe that, you haven't been paying attention. That's the main thing. You haven't been paying attention.
I am not ashamed to say that I believe that English culture, in particular, and I accept that our Welsh and Scottish listeners might disagree with us.
I'd go British. Come on.
But I think there are cultural differences between Englishmen and a Scotsman.
Yeah.
I think everybody can see that. I'm an Englishman. I happen to think that my culture, that what my country, as our nation within the country, has offered the world, from Shakespeare to everything else, is the greatest contribution to the history of mankind ever. It's why all of our former colonies, whether that's the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa, there's so many prosperous countries all around the world that stand out as shining beacons in whichever landmass that they happen to sit. It's because they have taken our values, our culture, and I think it's the greatest culture in the history of human civilization.
I want to stand up and wave a flag now.
And I don't think that I am racist for believing that or saying that.
No, but genuinely, the North London Dinner Party class do think that is wrong to even think that. But that's your problem. But again, I don't want to have anyone either running for government or in government in this country who doesn't believe that.
Because when they do believe it, what they do is they get into office and then they happily allow that culture to be dissipated, watered down, in parts overrun and taken over. And that is what we have seen in recent British history.
Look, I'm sure a lot of people are cheering us on.